Asthmatics warned to stay indoors as a blanket of smoke descends on the city. Port Stephens, Muswellbrook and Wyong on the Central Coast. In the Southern Highlands at Bargo, Balmoral and Yandera. But the biggest threat is in the Blue Mountains near Lithgow at Mount Victoria. And in the Springwood area where dozens of homes have already been destroyed. Reporter Ben Worsley joins us now live from Springwood. Ben?
Juanita, Springwood is a town on tenterhooks tonight, but more than that, it is in complete shock. This emergency happened so quickly, this fire was so ferocious, and these winds remain so strong that it is no surprise that so many houses have gone up. Now, the light might be fading here, but the sense of crisis most certainly isn't. As we go to air tonight, there are dozens, perhaps hundreds of people who do not know where their loved ones are and if they are safe and well. From mountain retreat to bushfire nightmare.
Knock that down and we get these ones.
A horror day that even the most seasoned firefighters struggled to keep up with. For some, the greatest trauma was not knowing whether their loved ones were safe. Hundreds of children were trapped at their schools.
I rang the preschool at 2:30 and they said, look, my son was fine, he could stay there with them, they'll look after him, but I haven't had any contact since.
We're obviously very concerned about life, and we're very concerned about people's homes, and if we come out of this day without losing hundreds of homes, we'll be very lucky.
That miracle hasn't happened for at least 40 families, and it could be many more.
That house is completely gone. I could hear it in the background, the gas bottles popping and all the steel melting.
The terrifying speed of this fire shocked residents who are all too familiar with bushfires.
I was in the house and it came through pretty quick, mate.
It's the third one we've been through. This is the worst one of the three.
And despite injuries, the priority was to help neighbours.
I've got to go, mate. I'll give some other people a hand.
This fast-moving fire has now jumped the Nepean River and is bearing down on Penrith.
Ben, it's been a terrible day. What's happening there right now?
Juanita, this remains a massive operation and this fire still burns ferociously and it is expected to do so into the night. Reinforcements, huge reinforcements, only started arriving in the last couple of hours and there are still fire trucks, dozens of police cars and ambulances driving down this road just over here into this cordoned off area where the firefighting is taking place. And this road is also packed with people trying to drive in to find out if their homes are safe and if their loved ones are safe. We just spoke to a lady whose parents, who are both in their 80s, are in there somewhere. She simply doesn't know if they are safe. She left in tears, saying she simply cannot stay and watch. So, for the authorities, it's a very long night ahead, and for the people of Springwood, a very uncertain one.
Ben,
the warnings were there and the worst has happened. At Balmoral Village in the Southern Highlands, ferocious fire and fierce winds left locals hoping for the best.
We've just come home, not sure if the house is still standing. We haven't had any information from the fire brigade yet, but we're hoping the house is still there.
As flames raced towards properties at nearby Yandera, residents ran out of harm's way, leaving firefighters in control. There are reports that homes have been lost in the area. The blaze closed the Hume Highway in both directions, leaving trucks and cars stranded.
Yeah, we're doing a job up at south, heading back towards north, and now the fire's just stopped us.
In the central west at Lithgow, fire licked back gates as crews tried desperately to hose it away. Houses were blanketed by a thick orange haze. Barrels burned and the flames leapt across the Bells line of road and into the state forest and an army range. At Heatherbrainy, Port Stephens on the mid-north coast, gusty winds and intense heat whipped up a fire that's been burning for days. Schools and homes were threatened and evacuation centres have been set up for those left stranded. Newcastle Airport is shut, with smoke stretching across the city. The same in Sydney too, where transport has been disrupted and a plume of smoke and ash gave the sun an eerie glow. The hot gusty conditions will soon turn into a cool change but that could bring a new set of problems for firefighters. Rebecca Barrett, ABC News.
News, Juanita. It has moved through most areas. In fact, it's already starting to filter in towards the Hunter region as well. And what we've actually seen as the wind shifted from northwest to westerly is it changed the direction of the plumes of smoke. Now, these three areas, that's the Newcastle fire, the Blue Mountains and Lithgow fire, and this is the Illawarra fire. Now, they're all starting to shift more northerly, and as that southwesterly comes through, it's going to push the smoke through the south up into the southern suburbs of Sydney, but it will clear the smoke from the more northern suburbs. But we have seen that smoke hanging around for most of the day. Very strong and gusty winds through the Hunter, Sydney, the Illawarra and also the central tablelands. But fortunately at the moment, now that they're shifting southwest, temperatures dropping quite rapidly. We're seeing a slight rise in the relative humidity, and that will continue through the night. And also the extent of the wind gust is easing off. The severe weather warning has now been cancelled. So good news across the area. And even in the Hunter region, we're starting to see those temperatures begin to ease off now that that change is through. But if you are in Sydney, you will start to see smoke moving into the southern suburbs from the Illawarra fire, and then also around the central coast from the Blue Mountains fire.
The last online post 2 days ago from Sydney man Gavin Rhodes, recording his family's Asian adventure. Mr Rhodes, his wife Lee, their 3-year-old daughter he called his angel, and his son, just 17 months old, all died when a Lao Airlines plane plunged into the Mekong River. At their Sydney home, family and friends tried to console each other. The killed was Michael Crichton, a mine disposal expert based in the Laotian capital, and his father Gordon, who was visiting him. They're both from Glen Innes in northern New South Wales. Michael Crichton's fiancée Melanie Fuller posted on Facebook, "I have lost the love of my life, my heart, my soul, my future, my children, my world and myself." Gordon Crichton was highly regarded. He was a teacher for 30 years.
It's a savage blow to the community. Gordon was a wonderful citizen and a massive contributor to the whole district.
Former Tasmanian MP Catherine Hay was once married to Michael Crichton.
Absolutely devastated. The world's lost one of the best men to ever be born.
In a statement, the Crichton family says, "We have lost a father, a husband, a son, a brother, a fiancé and a best mate in one tragic circumstance, and are trying to come to terms with our loss." The state-owned Lao Airlines said the twin-engine plane had struck extreme weather after the region was hit by a strong typhoon. The Department of Foreign Affairs says no survivors are expected and the recovery effort will take some time. Adrian Rochella, ABC News.
Back from the brink. After weeks of bitter political gridlock, disaster was averted with a vote that was over in minutes.
The motion is adopted.
The bill on the President's desk and signed immediately.
I want to thank the leadership for coming together and getting this done. Hopefully next time it won't be in the 11th hour.
The agreement funds the government until mid-January and raises the debt ceiling until February. Significantly, it makes no major concessions on the President's healthcare law, which sparked the fiscal crisis and shut down the government for 2 weeks.
This is far less than many of us had hoped for, frankly, but it's far better than what some had sought.
The entire affair has battered the leadership of the Republican Speaker John Boehner, who's struggled to rein in the ultra-conservative members of his own party.
We fought the good fight. We did everything we could to get them to the table and to negotiate.
It's been a bruising political defeat for the Republican Party. Having taken America to the edge of financial calamity, they came away with nothing they wanted. Divided and in disarray, Conservatives must be wondering what exactly they've achieved and how they'll repair the damage to their brand. While Congress might have solved this crisis, the relief is tempered by the knowledge it's a temporary fix until the agreement lapses in the new year.
Isn't this going to happen all over again in a few months?
No. Jane Cowan, ABC News, Washington.